My father was not an easy man to love, but I loved him anyway. The way you love a house with a leaking roof. Carefully, with one eye always on the ceiling. He died on a Monday. Massive stroke. Alone in his kitchen. The neighbor found him Wednesday when the newspapers started piling up. That detail stayed with me longer than anything else. 2 days. 2 days of newspapers stacking on his doorstep while he lay on the linoleum in his bathrobe, and nobody came. I got the call at school, 3rd period. I was halfway through a lecture on the Treaty of Versailles when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I never answer during class. But something, some low hum in my chest, some animal instinct, made me look at the screen. Area code from Meadville. My aunt. Dean, it's your father. What happened? Honey, he's gone. I stood in front of 32 11th graders and the room went very still. Not because they heard, because I think my face did something I couldn't control. Mr. Aldridge, one of them said, you okay? Read chapter 9, I said. I'll be back. I wasn't back. Not that day. My colleague Sam covered my classes for the rest of the week. He left a voicemail that night. Take whatever time you need, Dean. I've got your kids. Don't worry about a thing. Sam was like that. Steady. The kind of friend who doesn't wait for you to ask. The funeral was in Meadville, 3 hours north. Small church. Cold rain. The kind of day that feels like the sky agrees with you. There weren't many people. A handful of his former coworkers from the plant. 2 neighbors. My Aunt Phyllis, who organized everything because somebody had to. And me. Valerie didn't come. My sister. 31 years old. Lived 40 minutes from Meadville and didn't come to our father's funeral. She said she couldn't, Aunt Phyllis told me after the service. We were standing in the church parking lot. The rain had turned to mist. Couldn't or wouldn't? Does it matter? It matters to me. Phyllis put her hand on my arm. Dean, let it go. Today isn't about Valerie. She was right. Today was about a man who worked 40 years at a steel fabrication plant, who ate the same breakfast every morning, 2 eggs, rye toast, black coffee, and who never once told me he was proud of me. Not when I graduated high school. Not when I got my teaching degree. Not when I was the only one who drove up every other weekend to check on him after his knees went bad and he stopped leaving the house. The last time I saw him was 10 days before he died. I brought groceries, put them away while he sat in his recliner watching the Weather Channel. Before I left, I stood in the doorway. Bye, Dad. He raised one hand, didn't turn around. That was it. A raised hand. That was the last thing my father ever gave me. I think there's a kind of grief that doesn't come all at once. It arrives in layers, like paint on an old wall. You peel one layer and find another beneath it, and another beneath that, and each one is a different color, a different year, a different version of the person you lost. And you realize you're not mourning one man. You're mourning every man he could have been. After the funeral, I went to Dad's house. Phyllis had already arranged for the estate attorney to meet me Monday. The will was simple. Everything to me. The house, the truck, the savings account with $11,000, his watch, his tools, the oak bookshelf he built himself in 1987. I loaded some of it into my car that night. The watch, a box of photographs, his flannel jacket that still smelled like machine oil, a few books, small things. I'd come back for the rest later. Then I drove 3 hours home. It was almost midnight when I pulled into my apartment complex. I was hollowed out. The kind of tired that sits behind your eyes and presses. I grabbed the box from the back seat and walked up the stairs to the second floor. My door was locked. That was normal. I turned the key, pushed it open. The apartment was empty. Not empty like someone had tidied up. Empty like someone had erased it. The couch, gone. The TV, gone. The kitchen table and the 2 chairs I bought at a flea market 3 years ago, gone. My bookshelf, the tall one in the living room where I kept everything from novels to photo albums to the small wooden box where I stored my mother's earrings, gone. I walked through every room. My bed was gone. The dresser, the nightstand. The bathroom was stripped. Towels, medicine cabinet contents, the shower curtain. Even the food in the kitchen. The canned tomatoes, the cereal, the half-empty jar of peanut butter. They took the curtains off the windows. The hooks were still in the wall, curled and bare like tiny question marks. I stood in the middle of my living room, the place where my couch used to be, still holding the box of my dead father's photographs. And I set it down on the bare floor because there was nowhere else to put it. I slept in my car that night. Not because I had to. I could have called someone. I could have gone to a hotel. But something in me just stopped. Like a machine that runs out of fuel and doesn't coast. It just stops where it is. I woke at 6 with my neck bent against the window and my breath fogging the glass. My phone had 4 missed calls. 1 from Maya. She'd heard about my father through a mutual friend. We hadn't spoken in 8 months, not since the breakup. I didn't call her back. Not yet. I went upstairs. In the morning light, the apartment looked worse. You could see the outlines on the walls where frames had hung. Dust rectangles, ghost shapes of a life that used to be there. I knocked on Frank's door. 4B, right across the hall. Frank is 67, retired mail carrier, grows tomatoes on his balcony and watches everything that happens in this building with the quiet attention of a man who has nowhere else to look. He opened the door in his bathrobe, coffee in hand. "Dean, you're back. I'm sorry about your father." "Thanks, Frank. How was the service?" "It was fine. Frank, did you see anything yesterday? At my apartment?" His face shifted. Something crossed it. Not guilt exactly, but recognition. "The moving truck," he said. "What moving truck?" "Yesterday afternoon, around 2. A white truck backed up to the lot. 2 guys started loading boxes. Furniture. I came out and asked what was going on." "And?" "Your sister was here. She said you were downsizing. Said you knew about it." "Valerie was here. She had a key, Dean. She walked right in. She directed the whole thing. Told me you'd asked her to handle it while you were at the funeral." My hands were shaking. I pressed them against my thighs. "I didn't ask her to do anything, Frank. I didn't even know she had a key." Frank set his coffee down. His face went pale. "Oh, Dean. Oh, no. I should have." She was so calm about it. She smiled at me, She said, "It's not your fault. I should have called you. You didn't know." She made sure of that. He looked at the floor. Then he looked at me with the saddest expression I'd ever seen from a man I only knew through hallway conversations and borrowed sugar. "What do you need?" he said. "Right now. What do you need?" "Can I use your shower?" "Of course. I'll make you eggs." I called Valerie that afternoon. She answered on the fourth ring. "Hey, Dean." "Where is my stuff, Valerie?" "I figured you'd call." "You cleaned out my apartment while I was burying our father." "I took what I needed." "What you needed? My couch? My bed? My mother's earrings?" "You got the house, Dean. You got the truck. You got the money. Dad left me nothing. That wasn't my decision. That was his will. His will was garbage. I was his daughter, too. I deserved half. So you stole everything I own? That's your solution?" "I didn't steal. I equalized." "Equalized." I almost laughed. "You took Mom's earrings, Dad's photos I had just brought back. You took food out of my kitchen. I took what was fair." "Where is it?" "Storage unit. I want it back. All of it. Give me half the inheritance and I'll think about it." I hung up. My hand was trembling against the phone. I could feel my pulse in my throat, thick and fast, like a fist knocking from the inside. I filed a police report on Thursday. Officer Marsh took my statement. Frank gave his. The building's security footage showed Valerie and two men loading a white rental truck for 3 hours. "Open and shut," Officer Marsh said. "She didn't have authorization. The lease is in your name." "She's my sister." "Doesn't matter legally." The report was filed. I had a case number. A detective named Ruiz would follow up. Saturday, Detective Ruiz called. They'd located the storage unit. Valerie had rented it under her own name, not even trying to hide it. "We can recover the items with a court order," he said, "or she can return them voluntarily." I texted Valerie. "The police found the storage unit. You can return everything or they'll come with a court order. Your choice." She called me 20 minutes later. "Dean, please, I'm in a bad place. I owe people money. I thought if I could sell some of it." "Sell some of it?" "I wasn't going to sell Mom's stuff, I swear. I just needed the furniture. For cash." "You could have asked me, Valerie. You could have called and asked." "You would have said no." "Maybe, maybe not. But you didn't give me the chance." "I'm sorry." "Are you? Or are you sorry you got caught?" Silence. "Return everything by Monday," I said, "or I press charges." She returned it Monday. All of it. The movers brought it back in the same white truck. I stood in my apartment and watched them carry in my couch, my table, my bed frame. Piece by piece, my life filled back in like water returning to a drained pool. Frank helped me check things off a list. He'd made it himself, written down everything he remembered seeing loaded onto the truck. Bookshelf? Here. Kitchen table? Here. The small wooden box? I opened it. My mother's earrings, still inside, still wrapped in the same tissue paper. "Here," I said. My voice cracked on the word. Most things came back, but some didn't. A lamp my mother bought at a yard sale in 1994. 2 sweaters. A set of mixing bowls that had been in the family longer than I'd been alive. Gone. Sold already, probably. Or lost. Or forgotten in a corner of a storage unit that smelled like dust and regret. And the photographs. Dad's photographs. The box I'd carried home from the funeral. She'd taken those, too. Most came back, but a handful were missing. Corners bent on others. One of me and Valerie as kids, maybe 6 and 9, standing in the backyard with a garden hose, soaking wet, laughing. That one had a crease down the middle now, right between us. I didn't press charges. I told Detective Ruiz I wanted to drop it. He wasn't surprised. "Family cases," he said. "They usually go this way." I didn't drop it out of love or forgiveness. I dropped it because pressing charges meant courtrooms and depositions and seeing Valerie's face across a legal table, and I didn't have the energy. That night I sat on my couch. My couch, returned, same coffee stain on the left cushion, and opened the box of Dad's photographs. I found the one of me and Valerie with the garden hose, creased down the middle. 2 kids who didn't know yet what was coming. I held it for a long time. Then I put it back in the box. Some victories don't feel like victories. They feel like standing in a room full of your own things and realizing that everything is back except the one thing you can't recover. Not furniture, not earrings, not photographs. The belief that the people you come from will always be the people who protect you. That's the thing that doesn't fit back in the box. That's the thing with no return policy. And you sit with it, and you let it be what it is, and you go on. If this story stayed with you, hit subscribe and leave a like. It helps these stories reach the people who need to hear them most.